is go through how I rig up these HT magnetic pullers. This is just out of the package. The first thing I personally do is I run a spring on these, and that's to adjust the tension, which is all good and fine. But we're fishing walleyes, and particularly if you're fishing, you can even catch perch, crappies, panfish off of these. We really want no tension. We want that thing to just spin just as freely as it possibly can. So that's the first thing I do, is I take and remove that. The next thing, as far as putting line on, I use a heavy braided line, but that will take and slip around your spool just like a big washer would if you don't have some sort of a backing, which you need a mono backing. So what we'll do there is just double that through here. Do so again. Get rid of the excess. I generally use a heavier mono because it takes up a little spool space and it grips a little better. And what I want to do is just get a good coating across that whole spool. Just kind of let it work itself back and forth. It doesn't hurt to have a fair amount on there, and what that does, it gives that braid something to bite into. And it also helps with that braid. The heavier braid I use has a little bit bigger diameter, and we've seen it a couple times a day, especially in the case if you get pike. They will take and run just about all your braid, if not all your braid out, and then you'll run right onto this backing. It gives you a little more leeway, because if you get a big heavy pike, they could potentially pop that spool right off the end of this thing. Now I've got a good base set up there. I'll just take and flip him off. Then I'll attach my braid. Personally, I cannot tie all these fancy knots for splicing lines. Simply what I do is the same thing I did for the spool. I just double the line over, put it through once, put it through twice, and then I simply tie an improved clinch knot to that. I do the same thing in the summertime with my crankbait rods, running leaders off a fire line. Never had an issue with it. Like I say, it's simple and dirty, but by God, it works. And with this, I've got Gorilla braid. This is 50-pound test. The thing I like about that is it's a true braid, so you've got the braided feel to it. It's rough. When your hands are cold and wet out on the ice, it adds a lot more feel to that. You can control things a lot better. Pull these knots down to each other. Make sure they're pulled up tight. Get rid of our tag ends. And this stuff is tough. These are good scissors, and they even have a little difficulty getting through there, which is good, because then you can bang it around, jerk it on the ice. If it gets caught on clumps of ice, you have no problem with ever hurting that line. So I get onto my main line. I'm going to want to fill this up pretty darn full. Not quite all the way, because what you'll find is when you get outside, a lot of times you're spooling the line back up after catching a fish. You may not get it as tight as you originally do, or in here where it's nice and warm in the shack. It allows a little bit of leeway so you don't have it over full, and it ends up spooling off and causing problems getting caught on things. And also, by having a little extra there too, is if you ever do get knots when you roll it up, that type of stuff, you can just simply cut it off, tie in another snap swivel, and you're good to go. I've got it about where I want it here. Clip him off. And generally what I do is just tie to a good quality snap swivel, and to that we'll attach our leader. I don't know if I was smart enough to have one handy here. By God, I did. Here's another nice little tip. You can see I'm dumping out split shot. I'll generally keep bobbers and a few snap swivels in these leader carriers that I carry around on the ice with me, so you basically got everything you need to do to tend to your tip-ups. Running through. Another just simple improved clinch here with this heavy braid. You know, 4 at 5 at the most wraps are plenty with that. It'll bind into itself. If you try to go more than that, you're probably not going to get it to get your knot to cinch down good. Just pull him up tight, and there you go. We have this tip up literally ready to go minus a leader. That I'll go to next and show you how I tie these leaders up. Once again, I store them on a spool leader like that. I use Seagar 30-pound Premier Floral. What I found with that, it is soft enough that it's not going to bother our walleyes whatsoever, and it's got the abrasion resistance for northern. So I typically go to about a 3-foot leader with myself. I just go to the center of my chest, flip it off. You can go with any length you like. The main idea is to keep it consistent. So if you ever need to snap in a new leader, you don't have to reset your depth or anything. You just snap it in and you're good to go. Snell your hook like you typically would. I wrap it around there 13 times. I have no idea why not 12 or 11. It's just something I've always done. Run him back through. Let him bind himself. Pull it up tight on your hook shaft. So I guess scissors work better than pliers. You can see right here just how tough this stuff is. I've never had an issue with getting a northern in with this fluoro, and once again, it does not deter your walleyes. Do your simple loop on the end. I go around twice. Pull him up. Flip him off and you're good to go. With that, what did I do? Here we go. Now all we got to do is just snap him right into our snap. Throw on a split shot, which I have one handy here. Have a bobber ready for it, which is your depth marker. You can find them. I like to go with a very long stem bobber. They're not easy to find, but if you can find them, gather up as many as you can, because you may not see them again for several years. And this thing is set up and literally ready to go. Roll him up. You just roll the whole works right up to the base of the spool. Tighten your spool down. You can drop it in a bag like so. I can keep up to a dozen pop-ups in here. All these goodies that I use will go right in the side pockets, and you got everything you need. It's just that simple, and once you get a system down with this, folks, you'll find that you're using these tip-ups a lot more. A lot of people think they're too complicated, they get tangled up, they get frustrated. Take a little time, come up with a system like this, whatever works for yourself, and you'll find you're using them more, and you're going to find you're going to ice a lot more big fish.